So we've used two different methods of getting the answer to this question. Which is easier, using the calculator or using Excel? We're going to need to know how to use both of them. There's advantages to each. As I scroll down here, we see that the answer was completed on the next page, 29, and it gives us some information about, it talks about table 1-12 and the different, a range of different energy intensiveness that different types of buildings have. And that's this table here. But what I also want to talk to you about is this thing that's known as an energy cost index. This is a useful performance index because what we're going to do then is have a ratio of the total energy cost for a facility to the total square number of feet in the facility, right? Again, we'll highlight that. So that's what the ECI is. Energy cost index, the ratio of total energy cost as compared to the number of square feet in the conditioned floor space of the facility. So that's pretty cool. All right, so here at the bottom on the next page, actually, they're going to give us another example, and we're going to work this out a couple ways. Well, referring back to the example we just worked on, they're saying that that 1.76 million kilowatt hours of electricity costs $115,000. That's a pretty big electric bill. And the annual cost for the gas, the 6.5 million cubic feet, was $32,500. All right, so if in this example here, when we add the two together, we come up to 147,500. And when you divide that by the 100,000 square feet, we can see that the answer comes out just like this. Okay, so it comes out to be $1.48 per square foot per year. All right, so that's nice to know. So we could use a calculator to figure this out. But I guess I would want to ask this. Normally, don't we calculate our energy bills based on the rate we pay times the amount of energy we use? So they already did that math for us when they came up with this $115,000, right? So how did they do that? Well, they took the 1.76 million kilowatt hours and they divided that into, if we divide that into the $115,000, we would see what the average or what the actual cost per kilowatt hour is. That's where Excel does some good things for us. So I'm going to go back to Excel, right? And so you'll notice I put the ECI here on the Excel sheet. And if I knew, right, this is going to be the charge, I'm going to put the actual charge, annual charge right here. And if I knew the kilowatt hour portion here, I could multiply the kilowatt cost per kilowatt hour here times the annual electricity consumption in kilowatt hours, which rather than type it in here, all I really have to do is hit equals, right, this cell. Boom. And when I hit enter, it automatically calculates that for me. So if I want to know what the cost per kilowatt hour is, in this spot here, I can put down what the annual cost was, right? That was 115,000, right? 115,000. And if I would like to know what the cost per kilowatt hour is here, I can say that it equals 115,000 divided by 1.76 million kilowatt hours. And it tells me that it's 0.065. Now, a couple of assumptions here. Notice when I put the 115,000 in, it already knew that the currency was dollars, right? I can change that with this button right up here, right? I could put, I could put in any other dollar amount there if I felt like it, or I could even take away the accounting go to more accounting formats, right? And I could just say, I just want a plain old number here, right? So if I do a plain old number here and hit OK, the dollar sign disappears and we revert back to this number. So I'm going to switch that back now. I'm going to do a Control Z and go back to what it was. And what if, since I know I pay in, this represents dollars, right? Why don't I make this dollars, right? So if I click on this and I make this dollars, watch how the 6.5 cents a kilowatt hour actually gets rounded up to 7. Well, if I multiplied 7 cents times 1.76 million, that number would be more than $115,000 because of the rounding. So for that reason, I'm going to undo that and put it back to this 6.5 cents per kilowatt hour. I also want to show you that how we can round we can increase to a larger number of decimal places, which in fact I want to just look at. So when I divided the 115,000 by 1.76 million, this is what I actually came up with on my calculator. Okay, that's what I actually came up with. Any rounding, the number didn't come as close to 115,000 as I would have wanted to. So the whole reason I'm showing you this is the numbers that we're going to get in our books and that we're going to come up with on our answers may be different from person to person because we don't use the same rounding techniques. So I want to make sure that I will do my best to tell you how many digits to round things to. So I'm going to take this back to 2 digits and we'll leave it at that, or 3 digits, and we'll leave it at that. All right, so there's the cost of the electricity. We can do the same thing for the cost of the natural gas. All right, so here's the usage. All right, again, it's going to be the same amount of energy. I'm going to bring it down here. So there's my 6.5 million. And we said it was what, $32,500? Yep, $32,500. Right, so I'll put that in here, 32500. Enter. Notice it came in dollars. And if I want to know what the cost per cubic foot is, again, I would put equals the total amount I was charged divided by the total amount that I consumed. And there we go. This next answer would be then the sum. And that sum would be the $32,500 plus the $115,000. Okay. Again, I'm going to use that summing key, and I'll hit sum. But I have to go back and modify. Whoop. I have to go back and modify. I'm going to get rid of the B8 and instead use C8, comma, E8, and it adds it together. All right. Last thing that I have to do then is divide this by the amount of square footage of conditioned space, and that would give me my energy cost index. So we come to this block here, and we're going to say this is equal to the total cost of energy divided by the area in square feet, and it comes out to $1.48 a foot, and we will list that as the ECI in dollars per square foot. So there. This is an example of how we can use Excel. And I think that you can see the benefit of this. One nice thing about this, if I were to give you completely different numbers, it would be very easy to modify this. I could double the area in square feet here, right? If I doubled the square feet here, all my numbers change right away, right? So that's the real beauty of it. Unfortunately, if I doubled the area in square foot, I would likely also change the amount of gas that I used and the amount of electricity that I used. All right. So that's a little bit more about using Excel. I'll be doing this pretty much for every week. I'll try to show you a little bit more on how to use Excel. Some of you are probably better at using Excel than I am. I'm really looking forward to learning some tips from you and hope that you enjoyed and got some use out of this.